Hey, brother, look at you. Look at you.
New glasses.
New glasses and a semi dark facial hair, not quite fully dark.
Well, it goes gray fast, brother. I mean,
well, I only saw you a week and a half ago, and it was dark.
I know that Just for Men. I need to buy the actual Just for Men. I've been buying the For the Boys, or it goes way too quick.
Yeah. Well, and I will admit, in fairness, most of the time we were together was dark, so it didn't really matter. But
I like to meet people in dark places because this mug.
Exactly. And I'm not with your mug. Yeah, I'm not afraid to walk around anywhere. So.
Oh yeah. Well, I am a guy. Hey, by the way, I got this from you when I was meeting with you. Have you seen this?
Do you have one of those? I have one of those too.
Yeah. And you know what? We get to be on with the people that edited this amazing book.
Designed it and marketing it. Yeah. We had the editor earlier with Gail.
Oh, that's right.
That's right. That's what I'm here for. Yeah, that's why I'm the highly paid host. But no, it's and we're going to talk about the whole book editing process. Talk about how we the stuff that we went through and did together. And I make no bones about it. Between Gail, that was on a couple of weeks ago with us, that kept me out of major trouble from an editing standpoint. Richard and Victoria have been massively important because I couldn't be happier with the book. And it would not look near as good without these people. So highly recommend. That's why I'm glad you're on. And we could just keep talking, or we could bring them on. What do you want to do?
I think we should just bring them on.
Oh, we said everything last week together that we need to.
Yeah, we talked about all the stuff we need to talk about.
And we're good for at least a year, probably. So
at least.
Yeah, probably. All right, let's just go get them.
All right.
Do you recognize that thing?
We just got one of these too.
Did you? Wow. Look at that. They're everywhere.
Everywhere.
They're popping up everywhere.
I know. It's amazing. Look at that. It's on the screen.
Oh, see, there it is. It just popped up.
It's just omnipresent. It's like, wow. Well, hey, welcome, my friends. It's great to have you on.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Well, thanks for being here. It's we talked about it, and I've mentioned this to several people last week on a little hybrid book tour that I was on, seeing customer friends and signing books and kissing babies, or maybe I kissed babies and signed, but I don't know what I did. But after about the fifth night, I'm not sure what I was doing. But I told the story often, guys, and you pick the right people to be in your room, right? And it goes a long ways. The old story, I should say, of you don't want to be the smartest person in the room, which in my case is pretty easy, but still, it started with Gail, and then she brought you into the picture to do all this brilliant work that you did, and we'll talk about it as we go forward, but listen to if you bring smart people in a room, you got to listen to them, and we'll talk about that story. But first, who is Victoria and Rich Wolf?
Oh,
Victoria.
And don't make this too long, because I just had dinner and drinks with you last week and heard the whole story.
You've heard all of this.
And I'll just feel free. Go ahead.
Long story short, 33 years ago, I started Wolf Design and Marketing. It's had like 5 names since then. It's its final iteration now. Taught myself graphic design, and was going along really well until about 2016. And then I had somebody reach out to me, a colleague, and say, hey, you want to design a book cover? And I'm like, oh my God, I've never designed a book cover. Let's do this. And afterward, I was completely hooked. And so I transitioned. I just did that. I transitioned the business to doing only books. And then in 2020, Rich decided he was going to come on board. And here we are.
Perfect. I love it. Well, it's Rich, let's get your story first. I mean, how did you get involved in this crazy gig?
Randy, funny enough, I was a road warrior just like yourself for, probably 30 years. I owned my own food brokerage business. So I was doing kind of similar work that you were doing, but I was doing it over on the food side. Dead animals, primarily meat, chicken, pork is primarily what I
prefer. I'm dead, but
no possum. There was no possum.
No possum, no roadkill. And when Victoria started doing book, and subsequently I had gotten into other businesses, went to become a financial advisor, which was probably the biggest mistake I had ever made. 2016, when Victoria started doing book covers, the opportunity came around that nobody knew anything. Once the cover was designed, nobody knew how to get the books out there. How do you distribute them? Where do they go? What do they do? How do you set up these relationships? So I jumped in and became a publishing consultant, learning kind of the inside of, the ins and outs of getting the book actually out there, and taking everything that I knew in the business and transferring it over to book marketing.
And it's great because it's such a great team, because we work so well together. There was back and forth. I wasn't sure when I'd fire off questions to you two and Gail, I wasn't sure who was going to answer me back, but I always got an answer back, right? And
sometimes probably got 3 answers.
I got 3 answers, and I chose the one I liked the best, to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
It's good to have choices. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it wasn't even if I liked it better. It was the easiest one, and that's one I chose. But I know it's you mentioned, Victoria, that after you designed that first book cover, you was hooked. So what did you like about book covers versus all the other work you're doing?
They're the ultimate challenge, at least for me as a designer. And up until that point, I had been a graphic designer for 15, 16 years. So I was getting a little like, okay, how many more logos or websites? I was getting a little burned out. Let's be honest. And then the book cover it's so different, because you have to wrap your head around the story. You have to fit within the genre. You have to make the author happy. There's all these different things you have to do. But first and foremost, you have to be creative, and you have to create an amazing book. And it was a huge challenge, and it was just so much fun. And every single author brings me a different challenge, even though it could be, okay, I got another science fiction, same genre, but it's completely different than the one that I did previously. And it's like your book, it's a business book about, sales and leadership. And I've done quite a few of those, but your book is completely different. Mm-hmm. And so it just allows me to really just wrap my head around a concept, an idea, a book, and be as creative as I can be.
And Rich, I want to come back to you in a minute, but staying with Victoria for a minute, it's probably, I'm going to guess, the most challenging part is combining a cover design, and we'll talk about title too in a minute. So that's an interesting story, but to design one that makes sense and will fit in the world and sell and get people's attention, and also keep the author happy, right? Because I don't know if I'm the only one you ever had that was dead set on certain things until you changed my mind, but that's got to be a challenge, right? I mean, it's probably the biggest challenge, I think.
It is one of the bigger challenges. First and foremost, I always want to honor the author's visions and desires and needs and wants. But it is my job, when you hire me or you hire us, you're hiring experts that you want to guide you and give you good advice. But there are times where authors are really hell bent on what they want, and they may not go with my advice, and that's okay too. And but it is a bit of a balance. I don't think that I have too many authors who have gone so far south that I wasn't able to kind of bring them back, because it is important. You want to be different. You want to stand out. You want to adhere to whatever is in your mind as an author, but at the same time, you've got to fit in that genre. Readers are very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Creatures of habit. If you're a romance reader, or you're a sci-fi reader, or you're a business reader, the covers look a certain way. And if the cover doesn't look the way some of the other covers that you read look, you might not be attracted to it. So yeah, you're right. It is a balance, but at the end of the day, the author gets what the author wants, and most of the time it all works out, and they're happy. So
I was curious, because I think this is an important story, not only because it talks about the character and the way you guys work, which I'm going to stop being complimentary, because then it starts sounding like I'm just trying to make you look good. I am, but it is great. It's been an experience. I would do it 20 times, and maybe I will. But on top of that, you back to listen to what the people that you hire that are better than you. So Was it Rich or Victoria? Or was it Gail? Which one of you broached the subject one day? Because I'll tell everybody. A lot of people that knew me knew I was talking about writing this book for a long time. I had a whole different title cover, right? And I'll tell everybody what it was. It was my journey to hybrid. And I remember the conversation came up, and you guys had that tough conversation, I suppose, of telling me that my baby that I think is incredibly cute is kind of ugly and you don't like it. Or not that you didn't like it, but it's not going to fit. And here's why.
It could be better is what the feeling was.
I think you said it sucks, Rich, but
did I use those words? Exactly?
You might have.
I wasn't there, but I could see it.
And Randy, just so you know, most of the time, if Victoria has those spots of, oh gosh, I'm not sure about this title, I'm usually the one that gets to bear the bad news. So,
so she wants to be the one that we love at the end of this thing.
Yes, precisely. That's how
it
works.
I've got that all worked out. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's perfect if we love you both. But if not, we love Victoria. Rich, he's not a little dicey, right?
Exactly. Yep. That's the job that falls.
Fair enough.
Most of the time.
Fair enough. I understand. So,
but I will say, I have had to tell authors when they show me a cover concept that they put together. I don't know if that is harder than the title, but I have my share of letting authors down easily. So.
Yeah. And Randy, also let's be clear, you were not unique from the fact that you had a very clear vision of what you wanted. Mm-hmm. And so what the two of us do combined with Gail, your editor, is bring it all together. So bring in what we know works in the genre and kind of where you're going and kind of what, I don't like to say rules because there are no rules, but you have to fit within the space. And so that's really the fun part of the job that we do is combining your vision with what is going to end up fitting in your target market, your genre.
And that was an interesting one. And I told you folks, I think last week when we were together, and I told the story a few times on my little road tour last week, but it was funny is when you guys had that conversation and tell me that you didn't like the title, or I don't say like it, you thought there would be better options. You big dummy, I think you said, Rich, but we'll get over that. We'll get over that. Sorry. I've already forgive you mostly. But when and then you gave me the name, I think that you guys were thinking. And I remember my first thought was, are you kidding me? I mean, I just didn't get it at all. I'll be honest.
Right.
But he said, think about it. So funny story. I think I told you this story. I came out of the office and my wife Dixie, she says, how'd your meeting go? Do you have a meeting with the team? I said, yes. I said, not good. What's up? I said, they hate my title. She says, well, I'm glad somebody finally told you.
I can't wait to meet Dixie.
Well, he wasn't going to be the one to tell you.
No. She valued her marriage. She wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. She knew there's a limit there. There's a line, and pushed right up to it. But but I believe, Rich, and that's what I love about how this worked and how you approach this is, I think I'd mentioned something to the effect of, yeah, I think I'm okay with this, and you weren't ready to accept that quite yet. Thinking is not good enough, right?
Yeah. You gotta fall in love with it.
Right. And I think that was a great point. And so anyway, fast forward to all that, from a standpoint, forget if it's about books or anything else we do in the business world or in life in general, and we hit it on earlier, and I think it's a point I want to get across to everybody, is that we all need people, right? And when you bring people in, the old theory, I'm going to say it again, is bring people into your envelope that are smarter than you and better at things that you're not good at. Because there's a lot of leaders out there in different positions that want to hire yes people. And that does you no good. Because if you'd have just done every single thing I said, it's probably been a fine book. It'd probably been okay. But it's not the book that I'm really proud of and think is going to make some difference, I hope, because of the work that you guys did. And I'm just glad that my obstinance, if that's the word I want, didn't shine through and just say, look, guys, my book, my way, just shut up and do it the way I want, right?
Well, that's a majority of authors, though. If Randy, if you when we call that process the title tinker, right? It's tinkering with the title, and when you do that, like Victoria said earlier, ultimately it is your decision. And if you would have been obstinate about it and said no, that the title is the title, you would still have an amazing book.
You would, yeah.
And it would just look different and be different. But the idea of creating the team that you're creating is to challenge all of the things that you had in your head, to go, is there something better out there?
Right.
Is there something, different? And that's why when you said, oh, okay, I kind of like it. That's why I said, that's not good enough. You've got to love it or we're not doing it.
Right.
So, we provided the options. You came up with the decision on your own in your research development, talking to other people, showing it to other people that, yes, this was it. So it's the team. It's not the team telling you what to do. It's the team giving you other options that you couldn't see yourself. And then you ultimately making the decision because your name is on the book.
Right.
And that's the value of the process.
Right.
And having, people like Rich and I, well, Gail was she was a bit biased. Rich and I, we came into this completely unbiased because we hadn't really dug into the book.
Right.
And that's a good place to come in because we're just seeing it completely on face value. And so I think we can be a little bit more objective, and then and that helps because I know for my own book that I wrote, I did not even come up with my own title for my book. My editor kind of found it because I was in some other world. Not a good title world.
That's a good point. It's almost like the author's too close to it.
Yeah.
You can't see the forest for the trees, so to speak, right?
Exactly.
Because a title, this is the most important thing about any book design at all. The title, the cover, the subtitle, every single thing on the outside of that book is a marketing piece. It's all about marketing. It's not about, I've got to tell the story. I've got to, reel the potential reader in with parts of the story. Not at all. It's attention getting and curiosity. So the title is the thing that should really go, wow, like, oh, what does that mean? What is that about? And then the subtitle helps explain it a little bit more. It's like, oh, okay. That subtitle is there to say, hey, this is for me. Or to say, this is not for me, because you do not want a reader that isn't going to get you in your book.
Right.
And then the cover, the graphics and everything, that all just reinforces it or adds to it. And then you flip the book over and then it all goes together as one big marketing piece. And because of that, it's sometimes authors don't have the best idea for what their book cover and title should be because they're not thinking like that. That really is the bottom line. It doesn't mean your ideas that you had or any other ideas that authors have are bad. There's no good, there's no bad, there's no judgment. It's just a different approach.
Yeah. Well, and I think a key too, along with that, Victoria, Rich, when we was talking on the marketing end, that's what I spent a lot of my time doing, but not in books.
Right.
And coming into this, what little bit I like to pretend I know about marketing a book right now is not very much history. And I'm learning every single day, applying a lot of the stuff that I do in other things. But, that's, again, the value of, and you made this statement once, Rich, which I took to heart immediately, was, Randy, you're pretty good at marketing, but you never marketed a book. And there are nuances, right? There's idiosyncrasies that are different. There's probably 80-20 rule, right? Probably 80% of the rules of marketing apply probably across the board to some degree.
For sure.
But boy, everything in typical, it's always that 20% that gets you, right?
And I think I told you that there's nothing that I'm going to teach you that you didn't already know about marketing. It was just taking what you already know and fine tuning it to the book world. And that was that's actually a really easy process. Most of the authors that we work with don't know as much about marketing as you've already forgotten in your life.
Well, I'm old, so thank you. But
I might have meant it like that.
Yeah, I think he did. So much for dinner again. But anyway, but I have a long memory like an elephant because I'm old. But anyway, but no, I think that's a great point. And my point to that is, it is that 20%. It's 80-20 rules rule works in almost everything anywhere in the history of the planet, plus or minus, right? It just always works. And it's 20% that would have, if I just went with the 80% that I know and didn't incorporate all the lessons and training and teachings and, well, here's what you ought to do. And, here's what you shouldn't do. It's that 20% that makes all the difference in the world of marketing books. Now I suppose if you wanted to market building components someday for some reason, it probably makes sense you come and talk to me, right? Because I probably have got a few of those. You'd still have 80%, but the 20% would be like, no, I wouldn't do that in the marketing screws, Rich. That's dumb. That ain't going to work, right? But so I think again, that's back to that value of listening. And so, I really got to tell you, I appreciate what you guys, everything you did with it, and it's exciting. It's a fun thing. So, what's the best thing about what you guys do besides working together? Okay, I shouldn't ask that because Rich, you're sitting right next to Victoria. You got to answer good now, buddy. I'm just looking out for you.
What's the most exciting thing besides working together about doing this job?
That would be a good way to put it, because that's obviously the best.
For me, it's helping create legacy for authors. What do they always say? Like the biggest move anybody will make is, buy a house, right? Like that's one of the biggest things you can do. Well, when there's the old survey in the book world, like New York Times did a study going way back, asking how many, 80% of people that they interviewed said they want to write a book. And 1% of people actually end up doing it and becoming published authors. So, doing what we can to help create that legacy. I mean, like all these books that are on the shelf here behind us, those are always going to be on a shelf somewhere. Mm-hmm. So doing that, helping authors accomplish that is one of the greatest feelings I think that I can get. It's like, wow, you had a hand in doing something that's going to be on a bookshelf for generations and generations. And, who knows what kind of legacy that it has, but you're speaking of legacy, you're helping those authors kind of create their legacy, whether it's a fiction book or a business book or, memoir, whatever it is, it's creating that legacy.
Hey friends, it's Randy here, the owner of Source One Marketing, ibuyfromrandy.com. And I got to tell you, we are proud to sponsor the Building Wins Live podcast and vlogcast. We have 4+ decades in this beautiful industry of supplying materials, supplying services, supplying marketing assistance, and we just are proud to sponsor Building Wins Live and some great guests that we have every single week, many of them from our beloved industry and many of them from outside the industry that still bring some incredible content. So make sure to check us out at ibuyfromrandy.com and let us know what you think about this show. For now, thanks for checking this out. Let's get back to the show.
And we work with almost primarily first-time authors. I mean, we have a lot of repeat authors too, but most of the authors we work with are first time. Mm-hmm. And it's such a rewarding, as with you, Randy, it's such a rewarding experience for us to see you realize your dream, for us to be able to help you realize your dream, because it's a big deal. Writing a book is not an easy task. No. Now, there's millions and millions and millions of books on Amazon every single year, and every single one of them was difficult. Some were more difficult than others, but it's not easy. I think there's some people out there that think writing a book is easy, but it's not. And Randy, I know you could probably tell many stories. I mean, the writing part is difficult, and then the editing part, which is equally difficult. We're working with an author now who's out of editing. I think she's going to throw like a block party because she's out of editing. It was difficult, but she's going to have a really, really good book because of it. But editing is hard. And so, there's so many just wonderful reasons to do what we're doing. It's a very good, it's a feel good job.
Yeah, it is. It's a feel good job. And it's a difficult job because the industry is changing so quickly. And there's a lot, with AI coming in and the internet and everything that's going on, there's so many opinions, there's so much information, and having somebody to be able to disseminate that information and, to come to you, Randy, as an author and go, when you say, I want to publish a book, and then I can give you your options and the pros and cons of those options. Mm-hmm. So in keeping up on all that can be somewhat difficult at times, but that's what we're here for is we're the ones keeping up on that stuff. So you as an author don't have to, so you can spend your time writing and crafting your message And we do all that background stuff.
So you both touched on something, and I want people that are thinking about writing a book. You just mentioned there's plus or minus 8.5 billion people on the planet, right?
Mm-hmm.
That in theory, there are 8.5 billion stories that ought to be told, right? Because everybody's got a story. It won't sell to everybody because nobody's selling 8 billion copies of anything ever. But what do you think gets in the way of wanting to do this? Maybe even really wanting to do this, but actually doing it. What's the stopgap? And I'm asking that.
You have an answer? Okay, I have an answer too. You answer first.
Okay, and I want you to come from this from a standpoint of somebody listening, going, I don't know. After I listen to this, maybe I should go ahead and work on this and then get a hold of Gail and Rich and Victoria and come up with a beautiful book. I'd love both your answers to this.
Yeah. So you've kind of touched on it, Randy. Everybody has a story, right? Let's say there's someone out there that wants to write a sales book similar to yours. They're going to go out there and see the Zig Ziglars and now the Randy Chafees and everything else that's out there, right? And they're going to go, oh God, that's the last thing the world needs is another sales book. And that's one thing that keeps a lot of people from doing this. And I will tell you that if you don't do business like Randy does, you don't do business like Rich does. So if you have an idea and then write that sales book, because someone needs to hear your perspective. They might team it up with Randy's perspective or my perspective or Zig Ziglar's perspective, but never let it stop you that, if you have a science fiction, everything's been written about science fiction books. Well, they haven't, your science fiction story hasn't been told.
Right.
So if you have an idea for a book, never let, there's too many of X get in the way of you writing that book, because it's your perspective, your story, something that happened to you, whatever the case may be. It's unique to that person. And the world needs to hear that story. That would be what I would tell people.
Well said.
And each author will uniquely present that story to the world, because everybody has their own voice and their own way of seeing things. So you could line up 10 books on sales and they're all different, because each one of those authors has a different lifetime of experience and a different perspective. And I think for me, as someone who wrote a book and still today is not sure I should have written a book, and I taught, and you can laugh. I talk to authors all the time. Is if we need an author, talk down off the ledge, which sounds, but they're when you get closer to the end of this process, you really start worrying as an author. My words are going to get out there. Are people going to not like it? Are they going to say bad things? That your brain just really starts going, and it's very scary. And I know that's what holds a lot of people back. It's like, who am I to write, especially women, who am I to write a book? Everybody's got this story, or, I've got a story, but it's not as bad as this story that I saw. So why would anybody want to read it? It's almost like we have to qualify, whatever is going on to write the book. And piggybacking on what Rich says, it's just do it and just write it, get it out there. If you think about it, this could sound a little strangely philosophical. If stories were never told, if humans never conveyed what happened to them in the privacy of themselves, other humans would never know anything. Stories are what, if you don't tell the story, nobody knows anything, and knowledge cannot expand. I mean, stories are really the base of all knowledge that humans have, I believe. So if we stop telling stories and we stop learning and we just, I don't know, de-evolve or something and become, dinosaurs, I don't know. But it's critical to tell stories, and it's going to be hard. It's going to be scary. It's going to be expensive on some level. Just tell you that going in. But if it means that much to you, it will be worth it, and you will get through, and you will be happy that you did.
Yep. Well, and I can speak to that, because I can tell you that Gail will know better, because we were working. There's a couple times where she says, "Are you still writing this, or what are you doing?" I mean, you sort of disappeared, and part of it was just busy with some stuff, from time to time. But more than that, again, having somebody around you that's professional, that has your interest at heart, is vitally important. I would say that my experience tells me that I would tell anybody that wants to listen, if you want to write a book, you ought to write a book, but you also ought to get a team, because this book, I think I feel like my message is good. I like what I wrote, but it wouldn't be near as good, obviously, without the promotional and the cover design stuff we're talking about today. But Gail, my editor, was so integral, because she saw through the BS of me sometimes and would not let me off the hook, because that was, and this may happen to a lot of writers, but there was always that imposter syndrome, a bit of, why would anybody want to read this? I'll just forget it. But secondarily, I just want it done. And I don't know how often that happens with writers. I think we're good enough. This is all right. He said, no, it's not all right, Randy. Get back to work. I don't like this, and I don't like this, and I don't like this. Never changed my voice, right? I never changed what I wanted to say, the way I talk. But this is not good. So fix this, because I don't like it. I needed that, right? And she would give me dates. So we'll have a Zoom call next week on Friday, 2:00. Well, now I got somebody I got to report back to, Mom, right? I mean, but I think you need that, right? You need that accountability, because it would have been.
Yeah. Because that's you running away from yourself when you're like, it's good enough, because that's, I don't mean to speak for you, Randy, but from experience, that's fear. It's like, the editor is telling you to go a little bit deeper because it's going to be better for the reader. That's one thing to really take into consideration when you're thinking about writing a book and you get involved with an editor. It's not about the editor going, I know better than you do. No, the editor is fully in the reader's shoes, and that's their main goal, is to make the best read possible. And it's scary. It's like, oh, hey, well, I talked about this really intense part of my life, and my editor's like, well, you need to go a little bit deeper. Well, I don't want to. Well, you need to, or it's not going to be as good a book. See, my editor could hold it over my head that I'm such a perfectionist. I had to write a really amazing book. And so if I did push back, she said, well, Victoria, it's not going to be as good. You're not going to be happy. But it is scary. It's scary because even a business book, which some people, people listening might think, oh, it's a business book. It's just, it's just facts and knowledge and stuff like that. How scary can it be? Well, it is scary. It's your facts, your knowledge, your experience. And you're going to put that on a piece of paper that you cannot erase. That's going to be out there for, as Rich said, a legacy. It's going to be on a shelf for the rest of its life. And many authors, when they get really close to the end, they're like, oh my God, what if I'm wrong? What if there's, it's like, it can be very, very terrifying. But it's so satisfying on the other end.
Right.
That's
and if anybody
stuff.
is writing a book, it's important to note that a book is a period in time. It's a point in time. So like Randy, you wrote your book about sales now, and it's out there now. In 3 years, things may change a little bit. That's what we have other editions for, right? Because times change, things change, just like asphalt algorithms, right? Your process changes, the way you think about things might change. So that's why you see second, third, and fourth editions.
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
And the greater part of that too is in 3 months from now, if you go back and read your book, you probably learned some stuff in 3 months, and you look at that and go, "Oh, that's not right," but it was a moment in time, because unless you have an open book that changes daily as new information, that's the way it is. And you're right, that's what editions are for.
Well, and I haven't thought about this, so this is me going off the cuff here. So I may wish I hadn't said this in a minute, but a guy that I've known years ago in the industry used to say something along the lines, well, I believed it when I said it. And it was always he used it in a little bit places that probably maybe shouldn't have, but the point still is there. What you just taken, it made me think about that, is whatever you're writing today is what I believe, right? That's what you're saying. Everything in this, I believe today. This is what I do every single day of my life right now. A year from now, we may be doing this conversation again, and I'm pulling out stuff and adding stuff in, or he just read a whole new book saying, okay, that was sold 3 years ago, right? Here's where we are. But that's okay, right? Because I'm not proclaiming that everything in this, there's nothing you should do. That's what I do. I'm telling you what works for me. Take what you can, use what you can. But 3 years from now, I may have a whole new perspective on it because I'm a student of the game, right? And if there is, we'll write new stuff, like you said. It's just point in time. As long as this point in time is accurate as you can be, point in time, I think you've done your job, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like when you make decisions and you look back, oh, a year ago, why did I make that decision? Well, it's based on all the information and knowledge you had at that moment. You made that decision. Now, a year later, you have more knowledge, more information. You might make a different decision. It's the same thing with a book. Not much.
Exactly. Beautiful. So we've been putting up how to get a hold of you, Wolf Design and Design Marketing and Design. Is that right? Did I get that right?
wolfdesignandmarketing.com.
Right, that's right. It's Rich in Victoria. That's what I go with. But anyway, so get a hold. I can't recommend you guys enough. I really can't. It's been a great experience. It's probably one we'll probably do again. I told somebody the other day. I said I think I caught this disease because I just had this feel of wanting to keep writing. Maybe it's because I'm old and I got to get stuff out before I'm not old. I'm just not here.
Now you just discovered that you're a writer.
Well, I don't know. It's enjoyable. I got the I'll tell you right now, I don't think it's like anything you do that's new and scary. I take this back to a young 15-year-old boy, right? Likes this girl, and man, he wants to hold her hand or he wants to give her a little smooch, but he just doesn't because he's scared to death to do it. He's scared to, but you know what? After that first one, the second one's way easier, right?
Oh yeah, way easier.
Way easier. It's that first one. And even if you suck at it, even if it was like, good, get out of here, that was awful, you get away from me. The worst, the first time, and it's funny is, I'll share a quick story because Wes is sitting back there running buttons and making us all look good. When we first started doing this podcast 4.5 years ago now, or whatever it's been, I remember he's putting all the stuff together because again, I just get on and talk. He does all the real work, but we had a date to start, right? And as we got close, I remember reaching out to Wes either by text or phone and said, hey, dude, I know you got a lot to do. We can push this out another 3 or 4 weeks to give you some time. And I remember he snapped back, this is the date, we're going live. That's it. And that was live then, if we didn't record. And because he knew what I was doing. I'd never done I guested on him, but I'd never hosted one. Mm-hmm. I was backing out. Giving a little more time, and Wes was smart. Nope, I'm already put it out. We got the date set. That's what we're doing. And so it is important to just, sometimes, and I don't mean it necessarily as figuratively as literally, or more figurative than literally, I guess I should say. Climb to the 84th floor and dive off and learn to fly on the way down. Right. You might want to have a little bit of an idea about aerodynamics before you do that, but sometimes
planning would be good.
A little planning is good, but sometimes this is this old saying that never goes away, which is if you wait till the right time, there is never going to happen because there's never a right time. And I think you'd agree with me. Is there? Okay, let me just ask you. Maybe you won't agree with me, but I know you will. When is the right time? If you should wait as an author or somebody you think you want to write a book? Should you wait until the right time? Because will that ever come?
I don't know what the definition of right time is.
Yeah,
see, that's the point.
We always tell authors too because some authors do come with us with a specific date. I want to be out by Christmas of this year. And on the flip side, we have to say, the project is going to take what the project's going to take.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So because you have to go through the editing process, the writing, rewriting, getting ready. So sometimes, you can't pick a specific day. Right. So I would say in that case, there is no right time or wrong time. Just if you want to write a book, start writing and get the process moving. Right. And then the process will lay itself out naturally.
And your timeline could be 10 years. And we have worked on books for authors that have been writing for 10 years.
Wow.
They just started little bits. They were committed to it, but they never had the opportunity to really, dive in and find out, get it finished for 10 years. And so that as long as you keep, you just do it. Don't be afraid to start. And what you were describing, I have a term for not starting the podcast, is you were getting ready to get ready.
I like that. Exactly. And that's spot on. Yes. Yeah, exactly. I love that. It's last thing I'll say, and I'm going to ask you SAQ, but it's one thing that you guys did very well too, which I will tell everybody, is you didn't overpromise, and you over-delivered, because you did, and I write about that in the book, about a time that I majorly overpromised when I was young and dumb, and it came back to haunt me. But and I learned a valuable lesson. Right when we talked about this, we had a date in mind that I said I wanted it out by. We went through the math together, right? And you said, well, if we do this and this and this, but you, Randy, have to stay on target. There can't be screwing around with this, and we can get this done. And we actually, not this probably doesn't always happen this way, I'm going to guess, but we came in well before the date that we originally talked about.
We did. Yep.
And the important factor to that is whether it's in this genre of book writing, publishing, or anything else we do in sales, that's an important lesson, because you set me up for success as opposed to being disappointed. And now I'm super excited that I did not think when we first started talking that I wouldn't be standing here actually selling books, signing books, sending books. I sent out 10 yesterday out of myself, not whatever Amazon did. My point is, I wouldn't have even considered I'd be to this point on the 13th of August, right?
Right.
And so, kudos to you for managing my expectations. I think that's important. And I think that's an important lesson to people, whatever they are, in whatever they do in life, is, it's kind of like if you're calling up and getting a date with somebody, and if you're 4'3" and you told them you're 6'8", they're probably going to figure that out about the time you get out of the car, right?
Oh yeah.
You might want to just start with facts and go from there, right?
Truth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lead with the truth.
A buddy of mine says
it's a skill. Rich has a very unique skill of being able to manage expectations.
You have to at every step of the way.
Because things happen, and most authors, we start in one place and we end in another place. It's not a bad thing. It's a lot of times we'll have authors that come. I'm working with one now that came. It's like, this is very straightforward. I know exactly what I want. Very straightforward. We get to the end of the project, and we went like this, and that's fine, because when we started working together, she's like, oh, that's an option. Oh, that's available. Oh, you can do that. And so, the things changed. And now she has a book that is better than her wildest dreams. And that happens. And, because you don't know what you don't know.
In places that she never thought she'd be selling in. So,
So
just because she didn't know what options were available.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I can tell you this. It's been a great experience, and that's why I wanted to have you on to chat about not only just the book, but really wanted to chat about what you guys do, and make sure that if anybody's thinking about it, which should be everybody, that you need to get an editor, and you need to get a design and marketing team, and it ought to be you guys. That's my opinion. So how's that for a recommendation?
We appreciate that.
We do.
We agree. But
I agree.
If you can't hire us, hire somebody.
Yes.
You should never write a book on your own. It is not a singular task.
Self-publishing does not mean publishing by yourself. That's
right.
Yes. That's a great point.
You are the publisher. That's literally what it means.
Right.
Some people
exactly.
take that a little too seriously.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's not as a serious a deal, obviously, but it's kind of like a doctor probably shouldn't perform surgery on themselves, right?
No.
And if you're a foot doctor and you got a problem with your heart, you probably don't just self-diagnose and fix it yourself, right? You go to one of your buddies at the hospital that's a cardiologist, right? I mean,
oh yeah, if you want to live, you do.
If you want to live, you do. And I think it's the same way with anything. Is there's no way in today's evolving world there's too much to know about anything to know everything and to even know enough. And I think that was the key. Is it didn't take me long to figure out that I don't know anything about the world of publishing a book. I know about this much right now, all because of people like you and you guys and Gail. But what I know right now is 100% more than I knew 6 weeks ago, right?
Oh yeah.
And
definitely.
so, it's been a great experience. I appreciate you guys a lot, more than you know. And so let's finish up with the ever popular SAQ, the should ask question. And really, this is either today in our conversation or just in your everyday life, probably in the world of book publishing and designing and marketing. what do you just wish people would ask that they just never do, or at least they don't ask up front and in a timely manner?
Ooh.
You probably have a better answer to this.
Well, for me, it's for anybody that is thinking about writing a book. Before we've talked about all these preconceived notions and all these, the way people think things should be. Before you decide to write the book, make the call to us or somebody that can at least give you an introduction into the world of publishing and give you an idea of the steps, the process, the team, and potentially what it could cost you. Because then, number one, it would help you decide if you want to take the journey into actually writing the book. And secondly, it'll arm you with at least enough information to be dangerous.
Yeah.
So you can, you at least have some ideas rather than have no ideas. So the first question you should ask is ask a professional. And we do initial consultations free, 30, 45 minutes conversation with somebody. Just tell me about the publishing process. What am I getting into? And so make a call to someone who knows. The internet is valuable, but the internet will confuse you more than it will educate you.
Great. Victoria, anything to add to that brilliance?
I don't have a great answer, but I'll say if somebody should ask me, should I design my own cover, just so I can say no. And I have lots of reasons why you shouldn't design your own cover, but most people that come to me obviously are not designing their own cover. But I can't really I have no other.
Well, no, Rich, that was great advice, and Victoria, that equally, because believe me, the ideas that my goofy little head and ChatGPT came up with,
I'm sure,
were nowhere near.
It wasn't horrible. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't you.
Would it have been okay? Sure. But I wasn't looking for okay.
right?
No, and we don't do okay. Okay is not even in our vocabulary.
No. And there's no reason. I think it's anything you do in life, you should be setting out to do it the best you can do, or better, whatever that means. But especially as you both have said, writing a book becomes that legacy thing where, who knows who's looking at one right now. Right. Exactly. Who knows who's looking at on the website saying, or on Amazon right now and go, I don't know who this Randy guy is, but that looks pretty interesting. And then they get it. So it better be good, right? Because you don't want it to suck, because then everything you've done, your legacy then is going to live on with, he wrote a book, but it pretty well sucked. You don't want that
cover. Oh my God. Did you see that
cover?
That cover. Good book.
That cover was beautiful. And exactly. Yeah. So
not that your cover sucked, but that
I know it's.
Yeah, you want the whole package, is what you're saying. You want
exactly, exactly, and you're right. In today's world, it's so many opportunities in today's world to build that legacy, and that's my parting words. So I want to let you out of here, but podcasting and videos and social media things and the stuff that we all do. I mean, that stuff lives forever, right? So put it into a published form, because there's still a whole lot of people, myself included. End of the day, I read a lot of stuff on my pad or my iPhone, but I still love to pick up a magazine. I mean, I got a magazine right here, an article I was just reading that I wrote in one of the magazines the other day that I do some writing for. I look at it online and I read it, but when the magazine comes, I can't wait to grab it.
Yep, exactly.
Open it up and hold it in my hand, right? Maybe I'm just old school. No. But
books outsell ebooks, outsell audiobooks. They have by large margins. So many people love to hold.
Yeah, and physical books are actually making a comeback with younger generations now too, because people want that.
That
just
tactile,
like vinyls come back, CDs have come back. Physical media is making a big comeback. Yeah,
love it. All right, any parting words, or I'm going to let you get out of here.
No,
this has been great. Randy. It was great to work with you, to bring your book to life. And thank you for having us on. We really appreciate it. And we will be up to see you sometime this summer.
Yeah, let's do it. That'd be great. We'll have a good time. We might even find some Dr. Pepper somewhere close by. Heard rumor they have it around me here.
There's a number of places to buy Dr. Pepper up there.
Yes, there are. Yeah, about 120 within a mile or an hour's drive. So I think we'll be okay. So, all right. Well, great. Thank you so much. Appreciate all you've done. Appreciate you being on today. And we'll catch up soon.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Randy.
Right. Yep.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
All right, folks. They are Rich and Victoria. They, right there, I got to show it again. I'm really, really proud of this cover, proud of the book, proud of the work that Gail did helping me, and really think about what we talked about today. You had a story. We all have a story. Write your story. That's it. Just write your story, get an editor, get a design team like Rich and Victoria, and just go tell your story. We all want to hear it. I want to hear it. I'll buy your book. There you go. You buy mine, I'll buy yours. How's that for a deal? Anyways, I got to run for now. Thanks for joining. As always, remember, you get one go around, so live it, love it, own it. And like I'm doing today, Wes and Victoria and Rich, we just got done doing. Love what you do what you love, and go make today your best day ever. Till tomorrow. Cheers.